Hi, everyone. Thank you for willing to pick me over the other speakers, including the 76ers. As a New Yorker, I'm happy to see you pick me over that, even though the Knicks stink. Once again, my name is Mike Germano, the President of Communo. I came out here. This is my 6th gathering, so I see some familiar faces out here for folks I've seen for many years. I was lucky enough to speak in 2015 and 2016. I represented my company, Vice, as their chief digital officer, as we won the honoree award. I've been coming ever since. I've been addicted to this. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, where we have a lot of the same mountains around Brooklyn, New York, so I feel really at home here. Also, Brooklyn is known for being very nice, just like all of you Canadians, so this is perfect. I feel right at home. So once again, I get the opportunity to talk about the future of advertising, the future of something. This is always like kind of a BS title where I can sneak in my other points of view, like I did last time, which I'm excited to do this time. And the fun thing is when you're in advertising, you get excited about talking about the future of anything. Because in advertising, we're the ones who get to see behind the scenes like no one else. I mean, it was really exciting to see when Taco Bell did the Crunch Wrap Supreme for breakfast 2 years before it came out. And we're like, how do we advertise this? And I'm like, how do I eat this right now? And so you get to see brands that are going to make huge successes and change the ways that stoners eat in the morning. Or you also then get to see firsthand when Jeff Bezos and Amazon pours a ton of money because some analysts told them they should make a phone. And you see the shittiest smartphone you've ever seen, the Amazon smartphone. So bad that all of us who worked on the campaign didn't even want to use it. So you get to see when things take off and you get to see when things fail. And you know what? Our business is talking about the future because you want to hire an advertising agency that talks about the future. I spent 10 years in advertising, started the first social media agency in the world. That's what we keep saying. No one has called us out yet. We've built some really impressive things. We've helped change a lot of businesses, get them to adapt social media, which was at the time groundbreaking and changing. We sold to Vice as one of the first in-house agencies at a time when people thought that was stupid. Looking back at it, it was stupid, but it was a lot of fun, and we were able to really change the way that people looked at what the role of advertising is directly with the brand. But you know, the other interesting thing here is we get excited about talking about the future. No other industry gets excited about talking about the future. If you literally sit through these meetings where other industries are talking about it, they are scared shitless about what is happening. I don't know about you. I don't know where all these robots are coming from, but everyone keeps talking about robots coming and taking your jobs and living in your homes. I don't know where they are, but everyone's very afraid about it. I mean, have you ever see a truck driver that's talking about, like self-driving trucks? They're like, this is ridiculous. How could you allow this to happen? When the kids go like this, who's going to know how to honk at the kids? That's an important part of truck driving, right? And you're like, that seems like a really difficult job for 400 hours driving straight in a row. And the problem is other industries find ways to try to stop innovation, stop the future from happening. And they're afraid. You can understand that. They go to interesting lengths where Andrew Yang, who's a very smart guy, is talking about how, AI in the future is taking over. The guy ran for president just on saying robots are going to take your job and did really, really well. Beat a lot of people. People are picketing and they're protesting and they don't want anything from even a computer to be able to order their delivery within a fast food joint. You start hearing about the fact that radiologists are saying, wait a minute, if anyone's going to sit in a dark room for 8 hours and look at scans of torn shoulder blades and mammograms, it's going to be me, not some computer. And you're like, that sounds like a really dark place. But you sit there and see the trade wars that are happening. And up on the top right, I'm an Italian from New Jersey. That's Hoffa, Jimmy Hoffa's son. If you watch that crappy Netflix movie, you know his dad did. But that's the president of Teamsters that oversees about over 1 million truck drivers. They can't stop this from happening, these self-driving trucks, but that's him on Capitol Hill saying, this sounds like it's moving a little too fast, and I wouldn't want any safety issues to happen. He's literally saying that behind a priest, and they're all nodding. So you want to talk about being scary about trying to push you from starting from the future. They're trying to protect their industries. I laugh because I want to think, why haven't we seen Donald Trump go up there and be like, protect our industry a little bit, maybe? Maybe say things like, we're going to block all of the crappy logos made on Fiverr that are made in China, right? Like, he doesn't pass any of those laws for us, right? Why not? I don't see anyone picketing the town council saying media planners deserve a raise. No. And I would love, I mean, I'm just thinking about someone trying to protest and say, you know, line up and say, we're going on strike. And what are you going on strike for? Well, we make commercials. Well, what happens if you go on strike? You'll see no commercials. Everyone will be like, yay, that's great. And the truth is, because no one gives a fuck about advertising. I love it, but people don't, advertising, no one is going to sit there and try to protect our jobs. No one's trying to protect our future. They sit there and they think of us as a constant interruption. They have no idea not only how valuable we are, we're like the bees. You know how everyone sits there and every time you see a bee, you swat it and try to kill it? Years you grow up, that was like the scary thing. Like, a bee can kill you. Anyone here watch the movie My Girl? Macaulay Culkin dies from getting stung by bees. I was very afraid of bees my whole life. Right? So I'm just, fucking get rid of that bee. But then what happens? Now we're hearing, holy shit, there's no more bees, there'll be no more pollen means no more food, and we're all gonna die. And everyone's like, oh, well, we love the bees. I feel like that's advertising. Everyone's like, advertising sucks, block all the commercials, put ad blockers on. But they're like, oh wait, how do we get free content? And wait, how are all those stand-up comedians in New York gonna have real jobs, or my friend in a band? Oh, they all work at advertising. What about all those creatives? People don't even realize what goes into how we protect the ecosystem because they hate commercials. So the nice thing is, no one is going to save us. And that's what's made us so impressive in our innovation. That's what made us so strong. We are literally the truest form, and I know I'm an American, the truest form of capitalism, but we know that no one is going to find a cure for what we're trying to do. If we want to protect our jobs, we've got to have it. If we want to protect our jobs, we're going to find ways to keep it. And that, I think, has given us a lot of opportunity where people are always trying to make our industry better. This is Martin Sorrell. Anyone know who Sir Martin Sorrell is? Good. He pretty much somehow found a financial way to acquire a basket company in London, turned it into a $16 billion conglomerate, changed the way that advertising is done. And here he is talking about how important he acquired some of the biggest agencies in the world, more than 160 companies in the group. He talks about the distinctive brand being important. Everyone believed that this is, if they create a big agency, that they could maybe sell to WPP, how important it was, how important the brand is. When we talk about innovation and how we think we're going to save ourselves, we're also the ones who are constantly destroying ourselves, which is fun, because now Martin Sorrell, and by the way, this picture of him in the 80s when he was like trying to get it done, Gordon Gekko style, he said this 4 years ago. This is what he said now. Clients don't care where your talent comes from. The holding companies lose more by having competing brands rather than one brand. And his new company goes, I'm not a holding company, we're the Antichrist. Holy shit. Now, I'm not doing a voice to make fun of Sir Martin Sorrell because I'm more afraid of him than I am of Hoffa and Donald Trump. Because if you know what he's done in this industry, you know how he's pushing it and he's tearing it apart. These are Bill Koensberg, who is in the Advertising Hall of Fame, built Horizon Media, the largest independent media company, done very innovative things. It's impressive what they've done. That's his son, who's doing a media company for performance-based marketing, the type that will kill his father's company. And these two love each other. So if you want to talk about the innovation and people striving to do big things, it's always there. The funny thing is, as innovative as we were in the advertising world, we didn't see that the brands were just going to hire the staff directly. And it was because the holding companies were too arrogant. I think this quote by Sophie Lewis where she's like, you're not going to get the talent. If you don't get the talent, you don't get the ideas. That's why we're going to go in there, and we've spent 40 years of charging brands. We're like, yes, you'll need full-time employees. You'll need 40 of them. And you go, okay, and we'll multiply that by 3. And for those of you in biz dev, you would sit there and go 3, 3.5, and you charge them that much. And then you wondered why those in-house advertising agencies, those in-house brands would hire those people. We never thought that was going to happen. Do you know right now 78% of brands have moved a large part of their advertising in-house? That's had a big impact. Unilever said that they've saved 40%. Then what has now happened, this is an actual picture. This over here is one of the managers from Accenture. Anyone here from any of the consulting companies that I should know about now? Okay, we're safe. All right, so for those of you who don't know, Accenture, the people who were accountants, come in to do business operations, the people that you really didn't like want to date, but they were always traveling out and they made a lot of money, so it kind of made sense. Those people, they spent the last 15 years looking at the accounting books of every advertising company because they were auditing the brands. And 10 years ago, you know what they started doing? We found an economic way for you to do better business by hiring us to do your marketing because all the marketing you have to do is the end goal of just trying to grow business growth. And they kind of started to take over. They're now doing $20 billion in marketing revenue, stealing it from everybody else. And it started because this guy from Accenture whispered into this guy's ear, who was a CMO, and said, "Your job is not to build brands. You can build the business." And they all thought, yes, I could build a business. Sorry, we have a quick commercial break.
It's a huge honor to put this uniform on. There's a lot of tradition, a lot of history, and a lot of memories. Now, the great thing about memories is you're able to pass it along from generation to generation. There are a few things with the New York Yankees that never change. That's pride, it's tradition, and most of all, we have the greatest fans in the world.
Sorry, we don't have ad blockers here on the stage. It's important to see that. It wasn't actually targeted towards my preference, but not because we're here in Calgary. All right, back to what we were saying. So if you're looking at what's happening in the advertising world, this is the holding companies right now, all fighting for supremacy. You know, they always kind of keep their business in the family, which is always weird, but they're sitting there thinking that they're just fighting for King's Landing. And what they don't understand is here's the consultants. The consultants, the lifeless consultants who are talking about operational efficiencies and believe that brand sales is just to try to push numbers. They are storming through, and in the analogy, of course, you guys can all think you're Jon Snow or something else. For those of you who want to think you're, you know, whatever character, fine. The truth is the freelancers, you're just a bunch of wildlings running around hoping you don't get killed by these people, and they're going for it. Now, I would say, what can we really do? I hope they go to battle and kill each other, right? It is going to be the biggest bloodbath within our industry. I'm not joking. You're going to see in the next 4 years, you're seeing a massive economic shift between the entire and for those of you who are advertising adjacent, the holding companies and the consultants move the entire industry. You're now seeing cracks in share prices that are plummeting by 60%. And why is this important? Not because, you know what, once again, you don't care about advertising or a big company, but the truth is there's over 1 million people who work within a holding company. You're going to see the biggest migration of talent that we've ever seen in our industry. That's not fun. But it's also the most exciting thing that's going to happen to our industry. People are going to sit there and either work with the consultants or the holding companies. Data is going to be important. How much are we keep hearing about AI and data? A lot. That's what's going to push us forward. We're at this weird point now where we're all going to have a decision to kind of make, and the more I am here and the more I think about it, it sounds silly, but I kind of figured out what we're supposed to do. We have a chance where you can join the consulting companies or the holding companies. You can work in-house. You can work in advertising. For some of you, that's fine. Why I'm willing to talk to this room, I've never given this presentation, why I'm talking to all of you is I feel safe here. This is the one conference where everyone loves brands and loves advertising. This doesn't happen. Usually we go to a conference with something else and we start slowly selling out the brand activations. I was just at the Super Bowl, and famous Ja Rule, the famous Fry Festival producer, was at the Budweiser den, and he was like, "Budweiser, and let's give thanks to Ziploc bags." Literally, Ziploc bags was sponsoring part of the Super Bowl, and they were dead serious. We in brand know that doesn't feel right. However, here last night, I watched people drinking near the Dyson Airblades and having a kick-ass time drinking neutral vodka or whatever else was the sponsor, and we were all proud about it. We were all excited about it. We sold out from the beginning. The entire conference is just about selling out and loving brands, so that's great. So that's why I feel like it's safe to actually talk about what I think. People keep saying passion. It's not about being passionate in advertising. I think we are afraid to say the word love. Because when you say the word love, you know something might not love you back. you've lost a pitch. You've lost an account you put your heart and soul into. And it sucks. But the truth is, the people who do the best in this career are the ones who love what they do. They don't want to work in advertising. They want to love to make ads. And that's the chance we now have. And I started thinking about this word love, and being a New Yorker, it's hard to say it. But my wife's here, so it's much easier for me to say it. She forces me every day to say, I love you. And so I start to really look into it. And you look at this. We always see freelancer, and everyone loves to give the description and be like, oh, it's based on freelancing because they said some knight back in the day wanted to pay someone to have their fight, and it sounds good freelancing. No, that's not what freelancing means. It sounds good for all the websites that do it. Freelancing, free, coming from the term to the, and I screwed this up, but I will say I have documentation on my phone for something I searched online. So we're going to go with that. But it means to love. The old French version, I don't know, people are here in Canada, you probably all speak French. And then lance meaning to throw yourself into it. They're saying in the 1400s that this meant to throw yourself into something that you love. And for any of you who work with a freelancer, you know that that has the potential to be true. The wonderful thing when people don't understand when people work as a freelancer in advertising, they just want to work on a project. They want to work on one thing. They don't want to work in your advertising agency. That's not freedom. They want to take on a fight and throw their time to something that they love. And you know what we need to start doing? We need to start trying to hire for love. Rowan, are you here? Where are you? Here, stand up. So Rowan works for us at Communo. She is singly one of the most talented interns I've ever seen. I tried to block her from being hired because I thought it was a waste of money. Patrick, thank you for not listening to me. And the funny thing is, the talent on her regular resume would say nothing about what we actually needed her for, what was valuable. So what we did was we actually said, this is the old way of looking at it. To get a job, to try to be somewhere, here's your classification. Let's turn it upside down. Let's start with actually what is important. I don't care about, I want to know what you love. What do you love? Rowan, for some odd reason, loves mapping systems. I've never met anyone who loves mapping systems. She won't stop talking about mapping systems. The best thing for us is we really needed a lot of help with mapping systems. She's single-handedly changed the way that we've looked at chatbots and how information gets pushed. We would have never have known that because on our last resume, this was not even a thing. And we worked our way down. What are her skills? The future is going to be what kind of, stop putting like, I can speak both English and part French and 50% Spanish. That's not the future. Do you speak one of these software languages? How good are you at it? When we're starting to hire for freelancers, once again, you're hiring them for a battle. If I'm Doritos, doing an ad campaign that has to deal with skiing, you want to hire someone who loves skiing because you're going to get the best work from them. You want to get someone who works in the software programs you have. You want to get someone who wants that career. Then you go down the chain. And the last thing you should even give a shit about is what is their name, what education they have, and where they live. All the #1 signs of biases when you're trying to hire someone, let's move that to the bottom. Let's care about the thing they love the most. Here's the funny thing. We talk about the computers taking over. This is my LinkedIn profile. The funny thing is, talking to everyone here about AI, they actually don't understand anything about love. AI has a hard time of understanding love. It doesn't make any sense. It has no reason. Once again, we don't understand anything about love. This is LinkedIn makes a ton of money selling this spot right here, suggesting you work somewhere else. I've started an agency. I've been a city councilman for part of my life. I've been one of the youngest executives at a media company. I also bought a pizza restaurant because it was a bar and I wanted my employees to have somewhere to eat and drink. Dumb financial move, but made me very happy. My mom still doesn't understand what I do, so she says I own restaurants. I just eat at the restaurants. I can't cook at the restaurants. The funny thing is, LinkedIn, because they don't understand that I bought it because I love it and love my people, they think that I know everything about restaurants, and I'm an executive at a restaurant. So every week, I get advertised to become an executive or run my own pizzeria Uno. So when you're asking me about the future of AI, the best thing is if we start going to do things we love, they're never going to understand how we talk. Finally, if we talk about love, I'm from New York, and I love New York. That's my home city. You know what I like about coming out here? I met people from Calgary. You know what they do? They love Calgary. I love when people love their city. I also am close to my family that lives around there. I couldn't imagine being away from my family. You know what I see too much in advertising? People think that New York is supposed to be the epicenter of advertising. And they move from around the world to come here, and I'm so thankful. But I'm a little bit sad. If you're going to do your best work that you love, I want you to be in a place that you love. You look at someone, you talk to them, and you say, where are you from? They talk and talk to their families from. It must be hard to be away from your family. And it is, but I want to have a career here. You shouldn't have to sacrifice living in a place that you love to do the work that you love. And you know what? The internet is changing that. I'm proud about that. Now, this could be all a scam for me to move you all out of New York so my rent prices drop. But the truth is that this doesn't have to be the future. And when it says, I love New York, tourists buy that, but really it's for New Yorkers who wake up every day and be like, this city sucks. And they have to remind themselves, I love New York, it's okay, I'll keep going. So you don't even know why we say that, but when you say Virginia's for lovers, I kind of like that more. When we talk about doing work that you love, what about doing work that you might not love? That's a huge, it's so easy to say, just do what you love. Well, if you can't do that, how do you work with people that you love? How do you work with people you know are going to love you? These are three companies that, when I think the future, I don't think of a full-service agency. I think of people that really embrace what makes us different. I can't stand up here and speak about diversity and inclusion and all those things. I'm not an expert in any of that. I know what it's like to bring together a group where people love and care about each other. Squared Away, run by a woman named Michelle. She was a professional in DC, unbelievable, super talented. She ended up marrying the love of her life, who was a Marine. And she found out that after that, she couldn't get a job because he was being deployed. She did some research and found out that the highest unemployment rate in the United States are spouses of military members. How unfortunate is that? The people who sacrifice the most for our country have the hardest time getting a job. Now, we're lucky because she loves other people that she wants to start a company to help those people. Help them be virtual assistants. Put them in a career that would make the most sense. Help them get connected. And more importantly, the customers, the people who wanted to hire a virtual assistant that was in the military, care so much about our country that they make these people understand and feel loved, that their loved one's sacrifice is valued. Also, you talk about a group that has to potentially deal with a traumatic issue. You think we have problems when we're worried about our Facebook ads not activating correctly, or the fact that some other meaningless bullshit. These people have to worry about so much more. And they have to be able to move or change their jobs, and now they're surrounded by a network of people who understand them. This is what the future's like. Ultranauts is a company where, for those of you who have loved ones who are on the spectrum, it's kind of difficult. Sometimes they're so smart and so loving, and sometimes it's hard to fit in traditional workforces. Ultranauts is a company that found out that people with autism on the spectrum happen to be extremely talented at doing QA for software. A position that's been outsourced to India or people don't care about. This group is unbelievably talented at it, beating IBM Watson, beating every machine, taking pride in what they do. So this is a company filled with people with neurodiversity who just focus on one thing. And they love it, and they're surrounded by like-minded people, and they're surrounded by people that understand what they're going through. That's the future. And Virtual Guru, which, by the way, Calgary-based, right? Just closed their funding. Bobby, are you here? Can you stand up? I got to speak with her yesterday. I would like to point out something. I cannot tell your story because it's not mine, but you have a beautiful story that has to be listened to. If anyone here wants to understand why the future is being built and who are the people who are doing it, you are a prime example. I'm so happy you got fired from that job and decided to change so many people's lives. It is great what you're doing. You have an unbelievably fast expanding company in here in Canada that's providing virtual services for for people, for Canadians to be hired to perform jobs all over the world. It is so exciting to hear what they're doing. That's why, look, one thing we know about the future of advertising is there's always going to be sponsorships, and those sponsors are always going to talk at presentations. And I know that's what I'm doing right now. But I'm not pitching. I'm making a promise. What we're doing at Communo is that we have found people who love what they do. We have found people who want to fight for you if you love what you do. I love advertising. I love telling that story. I understand that if I tell that story correctly, you know what we can do? We can help businesses grow. We can help people have pride in their jobs. We can just tell a little bit of happiness in someone's crappy day. I'm not embarrassed that I make ads. I love them. I want to connect the world with these freelancers who are willing to put their heart and soul into things that they do. The small agencies that are around the world. I don't give a shit about the top 200 agencies in New York and the holding companies. There's 40,000 other agencies. This is where I would like to do, you know, the Warriors, you know, if you can, the future is ours if you can count sucker, but I can't pull it off. But the truth is, we are building something where we think is the future of advertising. How do we connect these people? Because we're just a bunch of little bees, and if we're not around anymore, the entire system fails. We're not just finding, the nice thing is we're not just finding other companies that love what they do. We're finding other partners who love what they do. We want to connect you with other companies who believe that you should have freedom of your future to pick what you want to do, to follow what you love. This is something that's very exciting. We have some members here. This started from here at this gathering. We're going to continue to grow. We're proud of our Calgary location, our Toronto location, our Vancouver location, our New York location, our London location. I promise you, we are going to spread all over the world. You want to know why? Because we love what we do. Last slide. That commercial is New York. One second. That commercial is the New York Yankees. That's my son. It's an okay commercial. It's my favorite commercial. I was done with advertising after that one. I reached it. I did what I wanted to do. What I love doing is helping people do this work. I've already got the work and done the work I love. My job now is to help the rest of our industry make sure we're not just going to get eaten by a bunch of White Walkers, and that people who love what they do will have a chance to do it. For all of you who want to work for in-house brands and consulting companies and holding companies, I wish you all the luck. You're going to need it. For those of you who love what you do, please join us. Please call me. I would love nothing more to help you get there. I don't have any slides to talk about the stats of why this makes sense, and that's a good thing for all of us, because no robot's going to be able to understand why I'm crying on stage in front of a lot of people. But the truth is, I love this. I'm so proud to come back here every year to be surrounded by people who I love, people who love me. I feel supported. For all of you first or second timers, this is something special here. Let's not take it for granted. Next year, make sure you invite more people. And let's continue to make some really awesome things happen in our industry. Thank you all so very much.
Awesome job, man.
Do we have any time?
Huh?
We have time?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
There's a bee, got in my eye.
I know, yeah. Just missed swatting that away. Just got right in there.
Yeah.
So obviously this is a huge passion of yours. You can see it, both advertising and the talent behind advertising. When did this kind of hit you that there's a problem that needs to be solved in the way we think about matching and thinking through people and projects and people and brands?
I feel like it's always been a problem in our industry where and especially you see in New York when people move out. You see talented people who've given a lot to this career and they move out and they don't get the opportunity to work on great work because all of a sudden people think it's based on geography or it's based on your age. I mean, the ageism that's happening in our industry is off the charts, and there's a tremendous amount of talent that is not given certain opportunities to continue to work in the field that they started. And there's a mismatch. And sadly, it's because the holding companies were the voice of our industry and we allowed that to happen. And they don't love what they do. They're in advertising because it's a job. There's a lot of other people out there who are in advertising because they love it, and for some odd reason, we didn't have the resources to be able to push that. So I'm here because I'm surrounded by a bunch of other people who love to do what they do, and we know when you connect people how excited. I mean, how many people here run an agency or have a major position at an agency or a small team? Great, 7 people, terrific. Wrong audience. But you know when you actually match 2 people together and they make great work and they were never supposed to talk? That's when it's great. Like, it's weird, I've matched like 5 people who've gotten married, and that's like a very obvious one, like, oh, you're good at matching people. It's because you really know someone and you know how they could work together. When you run an agency, you get to see that all the time. You get to see bets. And it really sharpens your skills, but then you see when you match people together to build a pitch and they suck at it and they fight, you're like, okay, I gotta make a mental note not to do that again. And I feel like the staffing agencies, all they get paid to do is when they put someone in their place, they don't get paid on the performance of how those people work together. They're not economically aligned to make that work the same way an agency that's really trying to grow something is. So we think that that's been broken. We've all been at agencies and seen that we haven't had that help, and we were just trying to find a way. And part of it is because, like, I'm here in Calgary where I've met some of my best friends. I would have never been able to know that. I would have never thought to come here to meet some of the best talent and do some of the best work of my career. So I'm trying to do that for the rest of the world.
Yeah, so I think that, I mean, and that goes beyond agencies. I mean, there's so much now of just placing butts in seats and how fast we can do it and, you know, how quick we are to hire. And we talked a little bit about this earlier. If anyone in this room has recruited or hired someone, it's hard. I mean, as someone who runs marketing, it's one of my biggest fears when I have to like fill that role and find the right person. So it's magic, really building the right teams to produce magical advertising. So Communo, I mean, I guess how do you scale that? Like, you obviously have an amazing skill and you kind of saw like, I can do this. Is Communo how you see scaling this solution of matching people and helping hiring managers find those magic teams?
I can tell you're in marketing because you do a really good job of asking me the question that tells us how great we are beforehand. So
oh, okay, there you go.
Thank you very much. And we should put you on Communo and everyone should hire you. In terms of how we scale this, we're in an age where we're so connected online. We have so many connections, but yet we're not connected to people. We don't really know who people are, and the fact is you're all kind of lying online. You're all saying who that other person is. I think if we can make Communo a place where people feel trusted and can actually share more information, we get to know their passion points, we get to know the things that they really care about. That's why people connect. Have you ever walked up to someone and connected based on, you know, these superficial crap that we all sit there and post about? No. You're gonna connect because you're both middle kids. You're gonna both connect because you both broke your arms skateboarding. You're both gonna connect for, you know, the fact that your Italian mom forces you to eat a lot of food and now you're having eating disorders based on it. I don't know. It's not me. But those are the reasons that you'll connect with people because they're genuine and they're interesting. And for some odd reason, those are not even included in anything that we do. But more importantly, you're gonna connect, I think, in doing work where you're passionate about doing that one thing. The goal is to do great advertising. The goal is not to work for an advertising company. And all too often, people get suckered into that role. So how do I connect someone who wants to do great ads? And for me, I look at it, I'm like, you want to do snowboarding ads? Live in Denver. Don't live in New York. You want to work 9 months out of the year and take the summers off with your kids? Let's think of what jobs we can connect with you to do that, and you're going to appreciate it. My biggest thing is we have a stay-at-home, the market for stay-at-home parents who've done a tremendous job in their career being not only educated and experienced and veterans who have time that they can give to a platform, but they can't work a full-time job, so they're not allowed to work in that, they're being not allowed to work in that marketplace. That is the biggest opportunity for us to leverage that. These people want to be able to do work, and there's other companies that can't hire someone full-time, but would love to have someone in part-time resources. And once again, you not only connect those people, they love what they do, they're happy about what they do, they're able to kind of provide so much help. I think that could be the future, because once again, advertising is such a beautiful thing that you can do part-time, you can do full-time. It's about connecting them with the right opportunities, not connecting them with the right job.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about how agencies might feel about sharing the best creative talent. I mean, I look at this like, well, think about if you guys did something like this for developers. Would Facebook and Google and Apple ever want to share the best dev talent? I kind of see this as a future of like talent sharing on a project basis. And I think, what are agencies if they don't have the best minds and the best people? So what's been your feedback from agencies about kind of shifting and allowing freelancers to work across agencies at different projects?
I've run a company and I've had hundreds of employees. I feel like we're thinking about employees wrong. It's like a small town. You don't want to let your best people leave, because that's what makes your small town great. But when those people get to leave and travel and bring things from around the world and bring other experiences, they're better.
Yeah.
If you think you own an employee throughout the whole course, you're thinking about this all wrong. You're at best leasing someone. I want to have the people I work with that I love working with have a lot of experiences and come back. If your company treats them the best and you make them happy and you give them those opportunities, you'll never have to worry about it. But the second you start blocking them from that, they're going to resent it and they're going to leave. So build yourself a biker gang, build yourself that militia. Don't sit there and just try to have your little fiefdom in your village, because it's just not going to last long.
Yeah. All right, so we have probably time for one more question. I know that, we saw the wonderful recommended job for you to run a Pizzeria Uno based on LinkedIn.
Yep.
So, I mean, this is something in our business with talent acquisition technology. Everyone might have seen what happened with Amazon, last year, working with AI for developers, and then they realized it was more biased against women, and how AI and machine learning and how we're trying to fit people into jobs. What is this really doing? Do you see AI helping, like on the Communo platform at all? Is there machine learning built in, and is there a way to match creative talent with AI in the future? Yeah,
it's the thing that we're putting our smartest people to think, because like that resume I showed you, that's if you look at like how to write a resume, it's like write it, people only look at it for 6 seconds. So you write a resume, it can handle 6 seconds. Watson can read 800 million pages in 1 second. So when we talk about the strength of what AI can do if done appropriately, it's massive. The problem is your resume is not one page. I look at it that where AI could potentially be the future in our industry is, everyone's talking about health data now, and you're tracking all your health data. Why? Because you want to go to the doctor and you want to say, what's happened with my parents, how does this impact me? But then sometimes you go to the doctor and you lie about things, like, do you smoke? And you're like, no. They're like, how often do you drink? You're like, oh, very rarely drink, right? And they're unable to diagnose it. I look at a future where all your work history should be there. Everything that you do, private to you, but then how do you match? If we really want to connect people, we're connecting people on one fake page of information. How about we start building trust? How about we start talking about the things that are really inside? That's when we're able to connect them with the right opportunity. It's not just a job. Once again, we're connecting them to this one project which has passion around it. And the thing about advertising, which is unlike other industries, you get an advantage if there's an intelligence, and maybe a little bit if there's knowledge about what that given topic is. Advertising breakthroughs are more likely to happen if you love it. There was a Harvard Business case study on it, I'm sure. I don't know, but I'm sure it says that if you love what you do, it'll turn out much better. So how do we set that up? And And really, I think that the project could be the dynamic that adds to our industry that other industries don't have, because you're coming in to do something specific, and that's where I hopefully see how we can first make Communo great for the industry we love the most, and the people who work in our company who love this industry. And if it works, then we'll get some of that like money. We can like start taking on other industries, and that'll be good, and try to fight off the White Walkers.
That's awesome. Mike, we're out of time.
Thank you so much.
It was great to
Thank
have
you, everybody.